Ji, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. I welcome everybody for this meeting of School Excellence Project. Alhamdulillah. And we also have Muhammad Azhar Bhai, like who's our resource person. And last time he already had our session on Assessment 360, session for the teachers and coordinators. So Brother Azhar, again, obviously he's going to have a 4 lecture series. So Assessment 360, we already had another last time. What is assessment and what are our expectations? And obviously he wanted to know what is our perspective of assessment, and now he's going to meet up with our whatever people had written. So I hope everybody who was there last time is slowly joining in, inshallah. There were nearly 30 or 40 people last time. So today being a holiday, I hope everybody's at home and will log in, inshallah, as we go. So we will start with Kirat. Khaja Saab is not well today. So
Assalamu alaikum.
Request Azhar.
Samir bhai, may I do?
Yes, please. That's I request you to do the Kirat, inshallah. Yeah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا. ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا. ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. صدق الله العظيم.
Yeah. So over to Brother Azhar Bhai of Knowledge Academy, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Am I audible, everyone?
Yes, Alhamdulillah, you are.
Jazakallah khair. So welcome to the session 2. And Jazakallah khair, Brother Samir and organizers of this session. In spite of being in holiday, we have organized this. And people, you being here shows the commitment that you are committed for the education and what you are standing for. And special thanks to Brother Azhar, who is on video and who is fully be here and contributing for the session. Thank you, Brother. Jazakallah khair. Right. So, so any questions from the last session? Anything you want to share from last session which we had? Quickly, you can chat or you can raise your hand or speak on what we spoke on assessment and what are we going to cover. And I also I'm assuming that everybody is in WhatsApp group, and I asked a question there. Assessment in school looks like. So any questions on that? How you people have internalized what we had taken in last session? Anybody wants to share? Go ahead, or you can chat. Hello, are you all there? Azhar bhai, I can see you. Yeah. Any questions on that? Azhar bhai, you have any questions? Anybody? Zoya, Farah, Abu Bakr.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Brother, I am a school coordinator. I'm
Okay.
from Maharashtra, Solapur.
Okay.
So I was just starting school in this year, first year. So first year, and only 3 primary school is there. So need some tips and guidance to how to run the school and how analyze the students, analyze the teachers.
Okay, got that. So
So need some guidance because we are new in this educational field.
Okay, got that. So if you're particularly talking about assessment, you can have a contact me. Anything else, you can check with your organizers. If they are, they will be able to guide you. If you want me particular to address, then you can contact me. Inshallah, we will be able to tell you.
Okay,
But
can you share me in chat box your
yeah, my number I'm sharing to you.
okay.
Okay. Yeah. Anything questions on the topic which we had is last week? Yeah. Brother Jamil, you have unmuted yourself. You want to ask question? Is there anybody else you have any questions to ask? Okay. I don't see anybody has questions or anything you want to share from. Did you all check with in your classrooms what is assessment looks like, how things are there in the assessment?
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, brother.
In fact, assessment is the least understood item in the
Okay.
school's context.
Got
And we are used to certain rhetoric practices which needs a lot of in-depth insight. We need to work on it.
Got
And
that.
examinations are conducted for the sake of conducting, right? And in fact, nothing, no review is done on the answers of the children, and no corrective actions are taken. And which is the basic thing why we conduct an examination or an assessment, which is missing. So this is what I feel, and we are trying to improve the systems. And I find that your program in OMIAT was quite helpful. So that's the reason we have invited you. And really, we are thankful for that. So this is what is the scenario in every school almost. And irrespective of their place of location, geographical location, or the type of school, whether it is CBSE, whatever it is like that. So that's the reason why this innovative teaching methodologies like the Exceed curriculum, all these things have been implemented in other schools. So a complete revamp is required in the education system. And of course, assessment is part of it. Thank you, Azabhai.
Got that. Jazakallah khair for sharing. Anybody else has questions? It's already 2:40 now. The more you ask questions, the more we can cover it up. Okay. All right. Anybody wants to share from previous? Feel free to ask questions. Or so in the last session we discussed. Anybody wants to share on that?
Hello.
Yes, brother. Yes, brother Kafil. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Walaikum salam.
Sir, please, as somebody just now highlighted the importance of assessments. Also, please connect with the lessons, connect with the subjects and lessons, and highlight the already existing assessments which are available online, the websites, videos, and all. Please connect with those things.
Sure.
That will be helpful.
That will be on session 3, brother. Inshallah.
Okay.
We'll be doing on session 3. Okay. Ensure that you are there in session 3. Okay. All right. Right. In the last session, what we discussed, anybody wants to share on that? We had an expectation. We spoke about why assessment has to be done. What is assessment is to be done, right? Anything you want to add on that? So let me recreate what I want to. This slide is very important. Assessment is a systematic collection, review, and use of information about educational programs undertaken for the purpose of improving student and learning development. Okay. The question which I asked you, assessment, how it looks like. Whenever we talk about assessment in the school scenario, or whenever as you as a teacher, whenever you as a teacher in the classroom or in the school campus, how does assessment looks like? Like what do people think about assessment? That was the question I asked about. Anybody wants to share on that? Quickly.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, quickly share.
Definitely, any format, any form, there is no specific thing. As far as I see it, it had to be any specific thing.
Okay.
Of course, we practice written assessments, like question and answers and all, but the sight of the teacher or the student, when something is going on, it could be very good assessment.
Got that.
So we can confine, I guess. We can confine it to a particular thing.
Got that, brother. Thank you. Sister Taranum, go ahead.
Yes. Actually, assessment in schools looks like very tough and it's very tedious on students. Like before, if their exams or tests are there, they are very, very tensed. They have to prepare, they wake up in the night, they don't get proper sleep. Parents are more pressurized than the students. Parents put more pressure than the students. They want their student to do best in the class. Because of that, they pressurize their students and they start comparing them to others. And because of that, a student who is pressurized from teacher, loaded with portion and pressurized by the parents, he becomes like actually the main purpose for assessment is to view him from 360 degree. You have to see him all round. It's not one day assessment. It depends on everyday assessment. Every day a child learns, he's been assessed. Every day a child is learning new things. He's getting more and more acquainted and is learning. As he's learning, he's growing every day. He's learning new concepts, he's growing in maths. If he's learning addition, so he's growing. If he's counting, he's able to count. A teacher says that yesterday he or she was able to count till 50. Today he is able to count till 60. So he is attaining one level. So that is also a part of assessment which a teacher has to look for it for every day. It's if a student is pressurized, then it will be like a rote memory system, which will be there in our system and is now also. Same thing we had done when we were children. We were doing rote memory. I used to get always full marks in geography subject. But if you ask me any questions related, actually, I'm very very sad to say I still don't understand the map. I'm very confused. But if you see all my marks, I was the top 5 in class and I used to always get full marks in geography because that was not actually a study. It was a rote memory. I used to get prize at home. Chalo bhai, teacher is happy, blackboard pe naam rahega. And because of that thing, I used to study. But actually, practically, nothing was understood by me.
Got that. Thank you very much. Jazakallah khair. Acknowledge you for sharing whatever you shared. I appreciate that. Okay, let's get into it. That summarized the whole point what I was getting from everyone. Thanks for the sharing. You have made the session next level. Okay, right. So today what we are going to talk about is we are going to talk about the purpose. What are the forms of assessment? What are the types of assessment? What are the uses of assessment and rubrics? Right. So we spoke about what is assessment. Now today we are going to speak about all these things. Okay. I think I might take another 5 minutes extra because of the time which I have taken. But anyway, let's see how things goes on. Right. Now, so what is the purpose of assessment? Why do we do assessment in schools? As you said, in the aspect of what you shared, like it's like burden, it's for the children, pressure, parents pressure, teacher is pressurized. Ultimately, what? At the end of the day, in the schools, it looks like the child is being evaluated or judged based on the performance of that examination, right? Now, only certain schools daily assessment happens. Apart from that, assessment means it's examination, quarterly, half-yearly, annual, or different countries have different pattern. But none of the states has the 360-degree assessment, okay? Now, given that, let me share what is the purpose of assessment, okay? Now, what is the purpose of assessment? First is to measure the learning outcome, not to judge the child, not to evaluate the child, but to know whether the child has learned or not, to measure. For example, we measure milk 1 liter or weighing the object 1 kg, like that, to measure the learning. The unit which we use is marks. That's all it is. Now, what do we do with that measurement is we quantify the learning, how much the child has learned. Number 3, what we do to give feedback on the student's learning, how much the child has learned. How much the child has learned on particular concept. Okay. To receive feedback on teacher's teaching, how the teacher is teaching. For example, let me give a scenario. Okay. A teacher teaches a concept. Okay. Out of 30 students in a classroom, 28 students, they get above 70 marks. Only 2 students get 40 marks. What does it mean? What is the interpretation we can do? Anybody want to share?
General interpretation is the teacher is good and the knowledge transaction takes place. Okay,
good. Now, let me give one more scenario. Okay. I want everybody to participate in this. Okay. So one more session. I'm telling you, in a class of 30, 20 people are getting above 70, 5 people are getting below 40, 5 people are getting in between 40 to 60. What does this mean?
This means teaching is average.
Teaching is average. Okay, good.
And maybe some students are not well understandable.
Okay, the teachers have students have not understood. Okay, what else? Good. Anything else?
The students could be differently abled, like they are different kind of learners.
All right, that is also possible. Any other reasons? Any other interpretation of that data? Right. Now, all the interpretation, whatever you said is valid, unless we need to check with the reality. Why that 5 people are below 40, 5 people are between 40 to 60, above 20 people are above 60. Now, this is scenario which analysis has to be done, okay, in quick manner. Now, how do we do that? What are the tools we can use? That we will tell you later on. But right now, the idea is it can be teacher's problem also, it can be student problem also, it can be parents' problem also. It can be parents' problem also, where parents didn't allow the child to sleep properly, or they would have gone for a function and the next day the child is not able to perform. It can be that also. Probably the parent would have fought one day before and the child is not able to perform because of the trauma which the child has undergone, or the child would have involved with the gadgets of video games and the child didn't get proper sleep also. So probably that child wouldn't have performed well, right? So that is why critical, we assess the child 360 degree at every level, at every time, different formats we can include, okay? So that is why it can be any reason for this matter. And the fourth or the fifth point, what I'm talking about is very critical, is that the child develops the learning. The child's learning has to progress. That's the purpose of assessment. Apart from that, whatever purpose we say, like report card, judgment, evaluation, whatever we say, it has nothing to do with assessment. We might relate with that. Ultimately, in life, what matters is the child's skill and the abilities. You might, as sister has shared, that she's good at geography. She got 100 out of 100 at geography. But at the end, she is not interested. She doesn't even know. She's confused on maps. So that has not served the purpose of child's learning. So as teachers, as principals, as coordinators, we need to be very clear on why we are doing assessment. And this is the purpose of assessment. Now, how you are going to take it up, how we are going to implement, it's up to us to decide, to frame a structure. So now you can start thinking on, reflect on your practices right now. What are the practices? Is this based on learning outcome? Is it based on child's learning? Is this practices is going to contribute the child's learning? Look at that, start reflecting and create your own systems now. Right? There is no copy, you can copy and paste, but not all the copy and paste systems will work. Because each scenario, each school, each country, each area, I'm telling you, each area is different from, each parent is different, each student is different. So what will work might not work for you, or what will work for you may not work for me. So we can take best practices. Ultimately, we as a principals and coordinators has to decide what will work and what will not work. Is that clear? Any questions on this?
So it's clear, sir. Am I audible to you, sir?
Yeah, very audible. I can see you speaking as well.
Yes, thank you. So after the assessment, whatever it may be, as I told that, so we should have follow-ups thing.
Yes.
So unless we are not following that, after assessment, after anything, we are getting some data. So based on the data, we should follow up, or else it will a complete waste of time, I think.
Yes.
This point
okay.
I want to add.
Yeah. That is what we are going to come back. Okay. That comes in the feedback system to give feedback on students' learning. So you need to create a system for yourself where you create a feedback for the child's learning. Okay. Clear. Anybody else? Any questions? Anything on this? Is this clear? All right. I am assuming this is clear for everyone. If there is any unclear or unclarity, please raise your hand, or you can message me. Chat. You can chat here. Okay. All right. So now the purpose of assessment is clear. Now next is, what are the forms of assessment? Now this is very critical. Okay. Obtrusive assessment is where student is aware that assessment is going to happen tomorrow, or assessment is happening right now. Is this clear? Unobtrusive is students are not aware. Unobtrusive is students are not aware. Third point which we have is student generated, that is self-assessment, or we call it as peer assessment. These are the three forms of assessment which we can have it in our schools. One is student is aware that you are assessing the child. Unobtrusive is that student is not aware. And third is student generated. We call it as peer assessment. Or the student himself has a target. He himself, like for example, we call it as the child has a target, the child achieves the target, and he knows he has achieved that results. Is this clear? And in schools now, I want somebody to share which is the assessment which we do in schools. Obtrusive, unobtrusive, or student generated? Yes, sister. Taranum, sister, go ahead.
Yes, obtrusive.
Obtrusive, right? Got that.
Yeah, we inform the student and we give them a proper timetable where we write down orals and written and everything, projects when you have to submit, and all dates are given, and the child comes well prepared. He carries an exam pad and like he comes with the full preparation, and he is now appearing. He knows that his assessment is going to take place today.
Got that. Jazakallah. So most of the 90% of assessment goes on obtrusive. Unobtrusive is not even touched. Student generated, we don't even think about it. Okay. Right. Got that. Jazakallah khair. Thanks for the sharing system. Now let's get into types of assessment. Okay. Now the types of assessment, if you look at it, there are formative, summative, ipsative. Now, anybody can define what do you mean by formative? Anybody knows this? Quickly share. Yes, go ahead, sister.
Yes, formative assessment is actually the investment, assessment of the, it includes all the orals works, It includes all the projects. It includes the reading, the recitation, and his oral skills. Like if tables are there in maths, you will be asking them the tables or counting. And formative actually means the orals part over here.
Okay. Got that. Summative?
Summative is all the written part.
Okay,
it's all the writing work where we have to submit, like in English, we have to write a comprehension or write a composition. And English, there will be no recitation or reading. Your only writing skills will be tested over here.
Right, got that. Thank you. Jazakallah khair. Anybody else?
Formative assessment is the kind of assessment which we do while the concept formation is happening, right in front of the student. It could be, it could have many number of methods to use. So when the concept is forming, so we check whether the concept has reached the student or is he not getting concept.
Okay.
It can be for mathematics for all subjects. So during we check, and it is more for the teacher to understand why the student has not understood it, and he can take actions, necessary actions, in order to form the clear concept. So during the formation period, when you are teaching, during the formation period, whatever assessment we do, that is formative assessment.
Got that.
That's good.
Yes, Sultana sister raised, Alia Khan has raised. Go ahead.
Jazakallah, sir.
Yeah,
actually, assessment of learning occurs when teachers use evidence of students. That is actually the assessment, sir.
Okay.
And there is a term called as AFL. That is assessment for learning. Where the learner is now. We need to know where the student is now. And then where the learner is going and how to get there. That is actually the assessments, right, sir?
Okay, got that.
We will
take
formative is not only about orals or return. It occurs when teachers use interference about students' progress.
Okay.
Through teaching, whether it is learning, writing, reading, or whatever. That is actually the formative assessment, sir.
Okay.
That is what I have to tell you.
Thanks for your sharing. Jazakallah khair.
I have something to add here.
Yeah, please add.
In a workshop, it was very nicely explained to us. For example, somebody is cooking a dish, right? Somebody is cooking a dish. The chef, he tastes while making the food, preparing the food, he tastes for the ingredients, whether the salt is okay. And this is called the formative assessment. And once it is served to the customer and he says that, yes, it is perfect, then that is the summative assessment. This is how he could, summarize and tell us this is how. So at the time of formation of knowledge, like in the sense we are conducting classes, the knowledge is being built on the child, right? So that process, while building up whatever we assess, that is formative. And once it is done, then we assess how much he has learned, that is summative. That's how it was explained. Yeah.
Got that. So let me create, thanks for that sharing, brother. So let me tell you, see, first, there are 2-3 things attached to this. One is the time. When will you do this assessment? Has nothing, time and place. That is when, where do you do this assessment? And forms, whether you write pen and paper, whether you write, have a oral conversation or written conversation. So except the time, all things are independent of this assessment. Okay. So first I'm categorizing here. Okay. Formative, summative has nothing to do with forms or place or when are you going to conduct. That is where you are going to conduct. It's nothing to link with that. Okay. Formative, as Brother Azam has already said, that formative assessment. Okay. Formative assessment is one where you assess while you are teaching the concept. Okay. While you are teaching, for example, you cook your gravy, right? At that time, you add some salt, or you add some sour or bitter or whatever you wanted to add, you will add by tasting that. That is called formative. Once you complete the whole process of cooking and it's ready, and somebody gives you feedback, that is after you tasting completed your cooking of that gravy, then you go and serve in the table. Other people give you feedback after completed, or you yourself will taste that. At that time, it is called summative. Are you getting this clearly? Formative has nothing to do with oral, written, or any format. Nothing. It is just to do with while the child is learning and the teacher is teaching. Once that concept is taught over, then it is summative. Testing is done. Is this clear, everyone? Is this clear for everyone?
Yes, sir.
If you are getting this very clearly, then you can look at your practices. Okay. Yeah. Summative and formative has nothing to do with portions. I'm telling you, it has only do with concept. It has nothing to do with quarterly, half-yearly, annual, or month or week. No. Formative can be conducted in weekly. Summative also can be conducted weekly. So don't get into confusion on this. Just remove that. Just get this definition very clearly. Formative, you do while you are teaching and the child is learning. Summative, once you are completed that, when you do the assessment, then it is called summative. I'll come to that. Rizwan bhai, I will come to that. Whether we need to inform or not, that will come to that. But right now you get this very concept. So don't worry about what should be there in the school or not. That you don't worry. Right now get these concepts and see if that is been implemented in your school. If it is not implemented, then you ask question. Then we will frame something for your school. My commitment is at the end of the 4th session, you create something for your school. That's my commitment. Since you people are principal and coordinators. Is that clear? Right now, don't worry about whether should inform the parents, what will should the teacher should inform the students or not. Don't worry about that. Right now, get this concept very clearly. Formative is nothing but is just while the teacher is teaching and student is learning. Summative is the teacher has completed the teaching and the student has completed the learning. Right? Clear? Can you all just type S if you're clear? Can it take another 10 minutes? Will that work for you?
Yes, please. Inshallah.
Yeah. All right. So hope everybody is clear in this. Good. Jazakallah khair. All right. I can see some responses, good responses. Yeah. So formative is clear, summative is clear. Right? Now, ipsative. Ipsative is self-assessment. For example, I'll give you an example. In Olympic, if you look at the Olympic race, the coach will give a target. This time, within 1 minute or 1 minute, 30 seconds, you should complete in the first round. Second round, the player himself, the athlete himself will have a target to complete 1 minute, 25 seconds. It is a self-assessment. That is called ipsative assessment. You give a target, what I know right now, what I want to do, and what will be my target. Is this clear? That is called ipsative assessment, which will give an individual responsibility for the children. Clear? So ipsative assessment is all about self-assessment. Where am I now? Where I want to be, and what actions I will take to go further. So the example for that is athlete example. Clear? All right. So formative, summative, ipsative is very clear is now. Anybody has doubts? Let me know.
Azhar, shall I add some value to this ipsative?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Ipsative assessment could be understood well this way. As Azhar said, the athletes, they compare their performance with themselves, right? For example, now in a class, a student scores in one examination 90 marks. Student B scores 20 marks. So in our general trend, we grade the 90 marks as first rank, and this 20 marks probably might be the last ranked student, right? Now we always curse, we are good for nothing, and we appreciate that boy. In the next examination, if you see the performance, the boy who scored 90, he comes down by 85, for example. And this boy who has scored 20, he has gone up by 5 marks, he becomes 25. Now, general trend is that in every school, we always see the rank. You are the first rank. Though he has come down his performance from 90 to 85, here the boy has improved from 20 to 25. So here no one compares and appreciates that boy that you have scored 5% more than the previous examination, you have done well. This encouragement doesn't take place in any school, most of the schools. I don't say any school, most of the schools. So this particular, we have seen example, those who have scored 15, 20 marks, and with the ipsative assessment, the comparing themselves with their own performance, and they have scored more than 80 marks in the final examination. We have seen the presentations. So ipsative assessment is comparing one with his own performance. That's what, sorry, I interfered, but I thought this will be more meaningful.
Got that.
Thank you.
So these three things is very, very critical for you to, from now on, to go forward, okay? These three things is very critical to design your assessment, alter your practices, or do whatever is required for the child commitment of the children, okay? All right. Now, the next part is what we do with uses of assessment. Now, what do you do with that assessment? There will be some data. With that, you give instructional feedback for the child, feedback for the teacher, feedback for the student, feedback for the management, feedback for the parent, where you can interfere, when to interfere, what to interfere. Portfolio for the student. You can create a portfolio all round every time, okay? Anecdotal records. You can have a description of the child, what the child is performing, performance of the school, right? Analyzing the learning curve, where the child is learning. For example, Brother Azam said that the child is 20, now he's gone to 25. That curve you can analyze, where the child is learning, where the child is not learning. Now, these are the few uses of assessment. This is what we can do with assessment, right? Now, what do we do with assessment is what we need to reflect on our practices in our schools. Clear? Right. Now, more details we will come in the next session, inshallah. The next part, which is very, very critical. Is there any questions on this? Any doubts on this? Now, quickly, one question for everyone. Where do we use assessment? For what we use assessment? Quickly. Anybody? Where do? Yeah.
Promotions.
Promotions. Okay, good. What else? Where do we use assessment? To assess learning. Yeah, that is in schools. Where do we use that? Promotions we use. Okay, good.
To see the child's ability.
Okay, do we do that? Part of every day. Yeah, it should be part of
everyday teaching practices, sir.
Everyday teaching practices. Okay,
Yes.
good. So I want to really reflect, like, our systems are designed for these users, is my question, okay? To prepare next plan. Okay, good. Okay, the next part is very, very critical, is the rubrics. Any idea on rubrics?
We have to have a tracking sheet, data, and include learning outcomes, sir.
Okay. What do you mean by rubric? Anybody?
To assess the parameters. These are the parameters, sir.
Okay, good.
Parameters. Like on what basis are you going to assess?
All right. Got that? Allocating marks for the question, credits on which students are assessed. Okay, good. Now, let me tell you what I have to say with you. Okay, a rubric is a scoring guide that assesses and articulates specific components and expectations for an assignment. Rubrics can be used for a variety of assessments, research papers, group projects, portfolios, and presentation. Okay, let me give an example. Okay, with this, I will be my last slide on this today. Rubrics, for example, this presentation, if you are going to give 5 marks, okay, so what will be, when will you give 1 mark? When will you give 2 marks? When will you give 3 marks? When will you give 4 marks? When will you give 5 marks? So somebody can share of my presentation. If you want me to give 1 mark, means on what basis you will give 1 mark?
Depend on the length of time.
Okay, according to length, you will give 1 mark. Okay, if I go for 30 minutes or 40 minutes,
It's generally the schools does it, but I am not satisfied with it.
Okay, fine, no problem. But right now I'm just getting, I want you to get the what it mean by rubrics. Okay, yeah, go ahead, Anis brother. Your voice is a little bit low. Can you be little louder? For this presentation, if you give me 1 mark, yeah, no, allocating marks for answer is completely different. No, rubrics is not allocating marks. Get this very clear. No, rubrics is allocating marks on what basis? That is very critical. On what basis you are going to give 1 mark? On what basis you are going to give 2 marks? Okay, good. Farah Afroz is telling how well and clearly the concept is explained. So if the concept is explained very well, means how many marks you will give? 2 marks or 3 marks or 4 marks or 5 marks?
It will be judged on purpose, organization, details, voice, and mechanics.
Yeah, good. Now tell me 1 mark, when will you give?
If you start on time and end on time, you can give 1 mark.
Good. So if you take, when will you give 2 marks?
If we see them putting some effort.
Okay, good. If you see you are putting effort, it will be 2 or 3 marks for you. When will you give 3 marks?
The same thing follows, I think.
Okay, good. When will you give 5 out of 5?
When he has performed something.
When you have performed, yeah, he's already performing.
Yes, but in the way that we want him to.
Okay, good. So let me tell you. Okay, good. Now why this is very critical? Why this is critical in assessment? Why rubrics are critical in assessment? Anybody?
Because so many things we have to judge on.
Judging someone.
Okay.
So because we are judging the, for example, mathematics means we are testing the learning whether he understood addition or he understood subtraction. We are checking the skills, not we are checking the scores.
Okay, good. Whatever you are checking, whether you are checking rote learning or whether you are checking whatever you are checking, ultimately this rubrics is going to play a big role in the assessment.
Rubrics is going to give you standardization of it.
Okay, good. Standardization is one. What else? What else?
Can take necessary actions based on the rubrics.
No.
And can teach take actions regarding the remedial teaching.
Take action on the remedial is data. That will come on data. Okay. We need to have parameters already. Clarity helps in improvement. Yeah. Okay. What? For example, now. Yeah. Anybody else? All right. So let me tell you one more thing. Okay. Standardization, taking action is part of it. Okay. But the point here is, consider the purpose of this program is to ensure that you understand the assessment 360 degree. Now, I am giving marks how much eloquent I am speaking. Consider out of 5 marks, I'm giving 4 marks for eloquency. And at the end of the presentation, somebody is telling me 4 out of 5 he has got for this presentation. Now, is it a proper judgment? Hello? Are you getting the point?
Judgment is not proper.
Right. Good. Now, what will happen if you give me proper, if you don't give proper judgment, what will happen? What is the purpose of our program today?
Understand what is assessment.
Yeah, to understand what is assessment. Now you are giving marks for eloquency. For eloquency, you are giving 4 marks, and you are rating me 4 out of 5. Now, if this is the judgment you are going to give at the end of the presentation, what will happen to my skills and abilities and my performance?
Do you mean if you don't perform well, also we give marks? Is
your rubric is your rubric says if he is eloquent in speaking, you will give 4 out of 5. Are you getting my point? But the intention is not to hear eloquency.
Sorry.
The learning outcome is to assessment, to understand the assessment.
okay?
So now I am being eloquent matters, or the concept has to be understood matters here. Which one matters here?
I'll not understand whether the concept has reached the audience or whoever is attending the program.
Yeah, good. Now, if I have not understood and you're giving me 4 out of 5, is it a valid judgment?
No.
Right? Now, if you do that with the children, what will happen?
It will wrong.
They will not understand where actually the problem lies.
Then what are we doing with the children then?
We have to assess them.
We have to assess
properly.
Them. But if we don't do that, what will happen?
We'll be sending wrong signals for the child.
Yeah, when we send wrong signals, what are we doing with the child?
We are not being fair with them.
Yeah, I got that. Fair. If you are not fair, what will happen to the child?
He'll be overconfident. He will not put effort.
Yeah. If you don't put effort, what will happen?
Naturally, his performance will come down.
If your performance comes down, what will happen?
Again, there will be no marks, or he will not be a good student.
Okay, if he doesn't have a good student, then what will happen? School brand is later, but we are playing with the life of the child.
Yes, that is the main thing.
His life is gone. If you say that he is a poor child, he is not fit for anything. If you judge based on that, only one examination, okay? You're putting it's like a doctor playing with the life of the patient. Clear?
Sir, we cannot assess the children in the same criteria, sir. So we need to have different criteria.
Yes, I got that. That is the next session will come up, inshallah. Okay. So far, any questions? So right now, I just kindled a thought on rubrics. So you're going to reflect on rubrics, uses of assessment, forms of assessment, how we are going to implement all this thing for the next week, and come up with the questions. Then we will create rubrics for whatever you want to create for your schools. Okay. Most of the schools already has rubrics, but it depends on the people and the curriculum. Okay. So any questions? I'm complete today. Is there any questions on this? Let me take it up. Otherwise, I'm winding up this. So quickly tell me, what did you get? Any questions you have? Ask questions, or next Wednesday. Quickly ask me any questions you have. Or what did you understand from today's session? Any two people? Any two people can share what did you understand from this session today?
How to assist a child.
Okay, good.
That was my I'm taking today. Take away.
Okay, got that.
Yes.
Got that. Anybody else?
Rubrics matter.
Rubrics matters. Okay, good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And also, hello.
Why is it
Difference between
early, no?
Yes, go ahead, sister.
difference between formative assessment and summative assessments.
Got that. Jazakallah khair.
Yes.
You
And
also
criteria are very important. For every assessment, criteria are very important.
Yeah, got that. Thank
you.
you.
Also learned about self-assessment.
Yeah, good. Jazakallah khair.
And athlete example.
Athlete example. Okay, good. Okay,
How careful and vigilant we should be while assessing someone.
Yeah, good. It's very, very critical. Okay. It's like a doctor in the operation theater.
Passing remarks to the students.
Yeah, passing remarks. It's not so easy. Got that.
Whether he is doing bad or whether he is doing good or whether he's trying, we should always pass positive remarks to him. At least he's trying.
Yeah.
Will improve, make him improve.
Got that.
Instant feedback should be given.
Good. Instant feedback should be given. Okay, good. Forms and types of assessment. Jazakallah khair. So I have taken 10 minutes extra, but anyway, worth of doing this. Jazakallah khair. For the host as well as for the people here. And I can see 50 people have joined today. It's going to be a very big thanks for everybody who's participating. Jazakallah khair. May Allah reward you all for participating. And next session is we're going to talk about rubrics and we're going to create rubrics as well. Okay. And right now, just go on reflection of in your school. What is the forms of assessment? What are we doing? What are the uses of assessment? Do we use this assessment? And what are the practices we can bring it up? And rubrics as well. Okay.
Jazakumullah khair, Azhar. Thank you very much. Alhamdulillah. And yeah, over to Azam bhai, inshallah.
Jazakumullah khairan kaseera. Really hats off to you, brother. It was quite inspiring and eye-opener for most of us. Jazakumullah khairan jaza. We are eagerly waiting for your next session to understand more about the rubrics, right? So the time is almost over. Another 5 minutes are there. I'd like to highlight a few things, and I'm sure it's going to help you out, inshallah. Participants, we are onto a journey of school excellence program, right? So recently, our Sana school had gone for this NABET assessment, right? So NABET team arrived and they had inspected the institution. And last week, we had a program by Brother Anju. So NABET assesses an institution on 3 domains, right? One is school governance. Second is education and support processes. And third one is like Azhar's favorite topic, performance measurement and improvement, right? So each domain has got certain standards, right? So these are the standards, right? So if you see the school governance, the standards are context of the school, governance, leadership and administration, mission objectives, then documentation, financial resources, physical infrastructure and support facilities. Now what we have taught in our SEP program is, we will go one by one. Like for example, the first part is, there are 15 standards. The first one is context of the school, governance, leadership and administration. We'll take only these 2 and we'll try to understand the rubrics, what Brother Azhar was telling, and he's going to teach us in the next week. So I'd like to focus on the rubrics which is given by the, the NABET team. For example, school governance. Now I would request you all to ponder over the performance of your school, level of your school, and try to understand where we stand. Okay. Now, the rubrics given is here, like for example, school governance, that is understanding the school as an organization and its context. Now we can see this context of the school, right? So that is given as the domain, subdomain. Now these are the rubrics which are given by the NABET, right? For example, the school has not identified the internal and external factors and is preoccupied with statutory regulations, right? Statutory regulation compliance, right? So they have not, this particular school has not identified, that is level 1. Level 2, it says that it has identified internal and external factors, but there is no plan of action, how to proceed further. Is preoccupied with, again, with statutory requirements of the compliance, right? Again, if you go to level 3, it says, the rubric says that the school has identified and documented the internal. See, earlier has identified, here it is documented. There is an evidence created in the school, the internal, external factors impacting the school, prioritize the factors. Now the factors have been identified and documented. And again, there is one more effort about that. They have prioritized the factors and has a plan of action to address the same, complies with statutory requirements, right? So here, level 4 of the rubric says that the school is aware of its strengths and weaknesses and has a system of addressing them in all areas like contextualization of teaching, safety, then addressing the children with special needs, managing human resources, uses its strength to address requirements in a proactive manner. Now this is rubrics 4, level 4 of this rubrics. The level 5, the school has a systematic approach of identifying the internal and external factors, has a proactive trend. Impact of this is seen in various areas of service. That is, a robust system of addressing them is evident. For the past 3 years, this has been done. So the school matures to a certain level, right? Then this exhibits certain benchmarking practice in addressing the context of the school. Now, hopefully, you must have got an idea what the rubrics looks like. Inshallah, next week, when Azerbaijan takes up this session, it will be much, much more clear to us. Now, I want you to, introspect your, institution as principals, as coordinators of SEP. Where do we stand? Have we identified the internal and external factors which are affecting our functioning? Have we done that? Or we are only, preoccupied with all the, the regular routines like examinations, then syllabus coverage, then the monthly tests, morning assemblies, only this particular thing which is done in every school. Or we only busy with that, or we are only worried about the education department's requirements, or we worried about only the recognition part. So this requires a lot of introspection. At this point, I leave it to you because already this time is up. I'm also on travel actually. In fact, I have stopped my journey for this particular program. So inshallah, in the next week, we are going to cover this. So I request you all to ponder over this point. First, try to understand what are the internal factors and the external factors which are bothering your institution, right? The performance of institution, the students, learning outcomes, like the teachers, all such things you need to ponder over and make your notes. Inshallah, in the next week, we will take it into depth. And inshallah, if possible, I'll request our Anjum Bhai also to join to add value to this. Over to you, Samir Bhai.
Ji, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. Jazakumullah khair, Azam Bhai also. MashaAllah, this is also a very important topic, which I think all principals and coordinators must ensure that our schools are eventually NABET accredited. But yes, SEP, we are taking the same parallel route, inshallah, so that we also reach that same level of excellence. So, Jazakumullah khair again, Muhammad Azhar Bhai, for this enlightening session that we've had. And we look forward to that. And Azarbai has written something in the chat that for the next session, please bring books, worksheets for one subject along with you, inshallah. So for everybody, please read that, and that's instructions for next time. So, thank you very much. Jazakumullah khair. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.
Sir, when will be the next session?
Next session will be next time, inshallah, next Tuesday, next Wednesday.